Hey y'all, it's Dawn, and I'm so glad you're back. I've got another fun, budget-friendly DIY video for you today. This is an adorable DIY that can be personalized in so many ways. I used my laser cutter to cut out several of these adorable little stocking hats or beanies. I cut several small ones and a couple of larger ones. If you would like to do this DIY and need the pre-cut ornaments, you'll find a link in the description. I used scrapbook paper and traced around the beanie using a pencil. And then cut the scrapbook paper out. I applied a layer of Mod Podge and positioned the scrapbook paper on the wood cutout. Once the Mod Podge had set up, I used a fingernail file and rubbed in a downward motion to remove the excess paper and to get a smooth cut. I applied another layer of Mod Podge over the top of the scrapbook paper. I used this tassel maker you'll find in my Amazon store to create the pom-pom on top of the beanie. You'll find a link to my Amazon store in the description. I placed a piece of yarn in the center and then began wrapping the yarn around the two posts. I placed the posts as close together as I could since this is going to be a pom-pom and not a tassel. Once I had the thickness I wanted, I took the string from the bottom and tied a tight knot in the center. Using a pair of scissors, I cut the loops on both sides of the string and cut the long piece of yarn for my roll. I gathered all the yarn in my hand, but left the two long pieces dangling, and began trimming pieces to create my pom-pom. I used an X-Acto knife to remove the scrapbook paper from the hole at the top. I placed one of the long strings through the hole and tied a knot at the back. I then tied the ends of the long string together to make the hanger for the ornament. And when I was finished, I had this adorable little beanie ornament. I applied the little wood piece to the front of the beanie using hot glue. I used my Cricut and cut out some family names to apply to the beanies. I'm going to use them as gift tags on the kids' gifts this year. I think all these little beanies turned out so stinking cute and are perfect for the holiday season. Don't forget, if you would like to decorate your own beanies, you will find a link in the description for the pre-cut wood pieces. I found this little sled in my stash. It was cute, but it just doesn't go with my Christmas decor. The first thing I did was remove all the stuff from it. I used whatever tool I could find. This was a tough job. Whoever had attached all this didn't want it to ever come off. But eventually, I had everything removed without doing too much damage. The sled was dirty and dusty. I used some awesome cleaner and cleaned the entire sled. Finally, a clean surface to work with. I used a sanding block and lightly sanded it so the new paint would stick, and then wiped it down with more awesome cleaner. I took the sled outside and spray painted it with white spray paint. It took several coats to cover this red. I used my laser to engrave this small piece of wood for the side of the sleigh, but this could also be done using a vinyl cutter. I attached the sign to the sleigh with hot glue. And honestly, I can't believe this is the same sleigh. I added some florals and gifts, and now I have a new Christmas decor item. I think it turned out pretty amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments. I found these two triangle Dollar Tree signs in my stash, and the first thing I thought was gnomes. I placed the two large triangles on the back of some scrap paper and traced around them with a pencil and then cut them out. For the smaller triangle, I did the same thing using a different scrapbook print. I attached the scrapbook paper to each of the triangles with some Dollar Tree glue and then rubbed it down with a roller. I also found this faux fur in my stash and glued it onto the first triangle using hot glue. The fur wasn't quite wide enough, so I had to piece it together like so. For the gnome's nose, I used beads from my stash and fluffed the fur up around them to hide the hole in the beads. For the other large triangle, I used some Dollar Tree nautical rope. I cut the pieces so they were just a little longer than I needed, and hot glued them into place. I also hot glued some across the top and untwisted the rope. I glued the bead in the center and trimmed the beard. And just look at how stinking cute all of these little gnomes turned out. I think they are adorable. Let me know what you think in the comments. For this project, I stained two Dollar Tree drawers with some gel stain I have in my stash. and also painted a paper mache box with red chalk paint. On one of the stained boxes, I distressed it with white chalk paint. Using hot glue, I wrapped this red ribbon around the box and glued it to the bottom. I made a little twine bow by wrapping some twine around my fingers and hot glue in the center, and glued it to the top of the little box. For the second stain box, I used my favorite Plaid stencil from my Amazon store and applied red stencil paste. I did this around the entire box. I hot glued ribbon, twine, and Christmas florals to this box. I glued the lid to the red paper mache box and then wrapped the side of the box with this ribbon from my stash. I cut little notches in the ribbon around the bottom so the box would sit flat when I glued it down. I decided I didn't like the top being red, so I found the center of the lid using a ruler and wrapped twine around it, hot gluing it into place. I continued wrapping the lid until it was completely covered with the twine. I glued some Christmas greenery and a pine cone to the top and finished it off with a little red bow. And just look at how cute all of the little present boxes turned out. They are perfect to sit on a table or use on a tiare tray this holiday season. I saw a holiday sign in Hobby Lobby the other day and knew I had to make one for my own Christmas decor. I used a piece of Dollar Tree wood and sanded it lightly with a sanding block. I then painted the entire piece with Craftsmart Holiday Red acrylic paint. I cut out a couple of words with my laser cutter, but this can easily be created using a vinyl cutter. I used a black paint pen to paint the words. I used my Cricut to cut out the rest of the words on white vinyl. After weeding and applying to transfer tape, I added the vinyl to the sign. I had measured the wood so I could place the wording around the edge of the wood. And as you can see, somehow I lost the T in Santa. I simply cut the word out again and applied the T later. I used Gorilla Clear Grip glue and a toothpick to glue the words to the center. and then used the toothpick to remove the glue that seeped out from under the letters before it had time to dry. I think this holiday sign turned out perfect. It is exactly what I saw in my head. Please take a second to like this video and leave me a comment. This really helps my channel to grow so others, just like yourself, can find me. If you just found me, I hope you will join our little family by hitting the subscribe button. If you are already part of the family, thank you so much for your love and support. Y'all are the absolute best. Check out my new Amazon store for craft supply and farmhouse home decor recommendations. All the products I use from Amazon in my videos can be found there. Until next time, happy crafting!